Hi everyone, and welcome to this really quick screencast tutorial related to the group chapter project or presentation for the course Enhancing Learning Environments for Diverse Cultures. I just want to take a few minutes to share with you some possibilities for your group project and presentation, and also just to hit the highlights of the assignment. So we'll start with the assignment itself, which is found on page 13 of the course syllabus. So I just want to make sure that you understand it does require collaboration. You have signed up for a topic and a chapter, and you will be working with the members of your group to read that chapter closely and then to create a presentation that will be shared electronically via our discussion board with the rest of the course participants. So of course we've already signed up. Note that basically we are using this assignment as a way to jigsaw 5 of the chapters from the textbook. Since this course is accelerated, it makes it a little bit easier to manage the reading if we are using this process of collaboration and the jigsaw concept. So what I want you all to do is to make sure that you summarize and present key concepts from each chapter for the class as a whole. Of course, your topics are determined by the chapter, and they are listed here in the course syllabus. Your group is responsible for a presentation that overviews the critical ideas. Therefore, you need to select some sort of electronic format or platform, and that's what I'd like to do is make a couple of suggestions for what you might do. So you don't need to cover every little detail from the textbook, but I want you to expand upon the key points that Spradlin and her research present. So I don't want you to simply regurgitate the chapter, although I do want a good summary with some specific detail. I do want you to be creative, and I want you to try to include some classroom application. So again, with this assignment, you have 7 required questions that you should address. You might choose to use these questions as headings in your presentation, or not. You could be a little more creative than I have been here. Either way, make sure that you address all of these focus questions. As far as deadlines, your finished presentation will be due on day 11. But if you would like to get some feedback, you can email it to me at least 48 hours before it is due, and I'll try to return any suggestions. It's always helpful if you email it to me with specific questions that you would like for me to address. Then you'll have plenty of time to make some changes and upload that to the discussion forum. In terms of tools available within Blackboard, so I'm just scrolling down to page 14 on the syllabus, you do have the option of emailing your group mates, and you can also share files. We do have file exchange, and you can access all of that from the group page. Your rubric is here, which is pretty much the same as the rubric for all of our other assignments. It is a 10-point scale. And of course, I want to make sure that you understand the purpose of the assignment. Group work is increasingly significant. Collaboration is very important, not only in schools, but also in the workplace. And I want to try to model for that for you as much as possible. Taking responsibility for course content as it interests you is also helpful for critical thinking and analysis. So you being able to choose the chapter is important. And even though these chapters are crucial and contain great content, it is great also to have some of you delve deeply into one particular topic, more so than you might for the rest of the readings. So that's an overview of the assignment. Very quickly, I want to go to our groups page. If you click on the group self-enroll button, which is the same button you used when you signed up for your group, you'll notice all 5 of our groups listed by chapter. They're not in numerical order for some reason, but you'll also be able to click on these numbers and see who your group members are. From this screen, you can access the group tools. You can send an email to your group. You can share files by clicking File Exchange. And I'm not requiring that you create any of these other assignments. So those would be the 2 tools that you would probably use most often. Now I'd like to share with you some possibilities for creating your presentation. The first go-to typically would be PowerPoint, and of course that works just fine. There are many creative things that you can do with PowerPoint. This is an example from a previous section of the course, and as you can see, this was created using Chapter 8, Learning from African American Stories. I will not go through the entire presentation, but just note that the authors, the group members are listed here on the first page of the slideshow. And then I want you to notice that the group uses direct quotations from the chapter along with images. One thing I do want to point out is that if you're pulling images, you need to source them. You need to make sure you include captions and give direct credit for the source of the image. Also, as you continue to create your chapter presentation, make sure that you connect the information you discover with experiences that you've had, examples from your own classrooms. This is a great example of a song or a poem that was recorded, and of course you have the source here. So any creative elements that you would like to include would be great. And you don't want to just include text, because that's going to be a little bit sort of meticulous or a little bit more difficult for everyone to navigate just a bunch of text. And again, I don't want you to simply regurgitate the chapter. I want you to be a little more creative, bring in outside connections and classroom connections as much as possible. Since we aren't presenting these live, you want to make sure that your audience can follow along. So I've given you the PowerPoint option. Google Slides would also be an option similar to PowerPoint, so if you prefer Google Slides, that's fine. This is an example of a Prezi presentation, which is a very versatile tool. It's also very easy when you are collaborating, because you can allow access for multiple Prezi accounts to access and edit a presentation. So this presentation was created on the chapter related to disability, Chapter 12. And again, the authors' names are present on the first slide. Prezi is great because you have a large canvas from which to work, and then you can determine the path or the order of each element or section of that canvas. So this group decided to include key definitions from the chapter. They also have an infographic. Again, make sure that you source all of your images, because these were not created originally by the group members. You do need to give credit. Make sure there is a hyperlink, or at the very least a source name listed for all of your images. Again, I won't go through the entire presentation, but I will include links to these 3 presentations in our Blackboard course site. The last option I'm going to show you an example of is eMaze. And eMaze is a great tool, also very similar to Prezi, in that you have a large canvas from which to work, and then you are able to create sections within that canvas. And it's very interactive because participants can scroll through, and there's a little bit of motion involved. Prezi and eMaze both allow you to embed videos. So in addition to reading the chapter, if you find supplemental resources that are relevant, I would encourage you to include those. So videos are wonderful, hyperlinks to other websites that relate to the chapter. If there's anything in the chapter that you take issue with and would like to debate, you can also include links to references that would give different perspectives or more insights. So this group is using the chapter on Native Americans, and again, they've included an infographic here, which is a map. You can hear the music in the background, which eMaze allows you to insert as well. That adds to the ambiance of the presentation a little bit. The statistics are really interesting because, remember, part of the rationale for this assignment is to get to know the culture. And so the demographics in that objective. So this is eMaze. Again, the account is free. It's a fabulous way of presenting information. You are not limited. I'm not limiting you to those 3 possibilities or 4 possibilities, but Google Slides, PowerPoint, Prezi, and eMaze would all be great options. I've also listed, if you go back to the syllabus, that you can create a video or a podcast. The podcast would probably be a last resort because I really want the visual images to come across, and most of you probably don't want to spend the time creating and editing a podcast. A video would be great if you want to be more interactive and include an audio track along with your presentation. Something great to note is that all of these platforms do allow you to record narration. And while I'm not requiring you to do that, it would be a really cool added element for your presentation, and I would be willing to assign extra credit if anyone is interested in doing that. In addition, this could be a great resource that you could share with your entire school or the colleagues in your school district. So another reason for recording your narration would be that you could share it outside of this course. If you have any questions regarding the group assignment, please let me know. Again, you can access your group members through the group self-enroll page, and I hope that you now have a few ideas and suggestions for how to create your presentation. I will upload the PowerPoint sample presentation along with giving you links to the Prezi and the eMaze examples when I post this video to Blackboard. Thanks so much.